Hello everyone, I am Tacet and welcome to the Gems of War Invasion stream, week 29, day 2. So today we're going to be able to get a lot of objectives done. We're going to mess around a little bit with invasions as far as probably getting to all rewards as far as base rewards, not the stage rewards that are guild-wide, but getting that final little reward that you get just for doing your normal progress. We'll easily be able to go and get that today. Of course, I believe it gives around 75, 85 gems going through all these, and then it ends up giving you a random orb for the final one then. And then anything that's stage 8 and above is basically just for either leaderboard or for helping your guild get to stage 12, of course, which I believe we have someone trying for leaderboard, so we kind of already have that done, because Jen is actually really high. All the way at 16th place with a multi-way tie, so I assume that's like 7 packs or something, because it seems to be a multi-way tie with a lot of people. So that's a certain amount of packs, probably, like 7 or 8 of them. But yeah, currently in 16th place, so that's pretty cool. And with that, it's kind of been helping the guild since we didn't really need to do as much. We only bought to tier 3 this time around. Could have theoretically done none and just bought the weapon in a shop, but I bought up to tier 3. If every single person did up to tier 3 in your guild, you should pretty much be able to get all the rewards done, which is the main reason why I ended up doing that. Though theoretically, since this is a repeat event, we could have just bought the weapon and just saved 250 gems. But I went down the gem route just so we could get that and have a few more battles to do. With that being said, we might as well go do those battles right now. We're just using a double Sifu Yuan with a Tulio, and then the last slot is basically just a damage source. I'm specifically using Doomed Axe, but any yellow anything that does a lot of damage would also work in that last slot there. Even something like a skull converter would probably be pretty decent, because once you reach 4 towers, every single thing will take a bunch of multiplied damage off of your Sifu, assuming you have it traded there. But let's see, let's go and just poke these down one shot at a time, and each one of those will die out. Let's take that skull just to poke him. Unfortunately, he lives because of 25% score reduction. Well, let's do this onto yellow, and that will almost be match. If we have alignment here, it actually will, and it is. He's dead. And there we go. And those Doom Skulls do get multiplied too, so if you take a 5 damage Doom Skull, you're doing 25 additional damage to a tower, assuming you have the full bonus there. But anyways, hello everyone! Hello Bill! Hello Jellybean! Hello Isabel! Hello Lochnar! Hello Tyranny! Hello Birdleaf! Hello Cookie! Hello Impudence! Hello David! Hello Steve! Hello Jefferson! Hello Curtis! Hello Dotero! Hello Humberto! And that's everyone. Hello everyone else. Did you go over a low budget option yesterday for what? For faction or for this game mode? This one that we're using right now is relatively low. 2 of these, normally getting 2 might be a little bit harder, but this guy's been out for a while in the Glory Gem Guild and VIP chests, unlike other event related troops. But all of this team except for last slot is pretty easy to obtain for the most part. This was available several weeks back for Glory, for 400 Glory. So if you pick that up, you should already have that laying around. And Tulio, I guess there's as far as Sifu Yan, there is a possibility you don't have a second copy. I guess in that case, you could go with another mana accumulator, as far as like an Empower, just to feed everything. And as far as weapon, you just replace that with the highest damaging legend or mythic yellow that you have. Some good ones would probably be Divine Ishbala, because Divine Ishbala, unfortunately this doesn't count as Divine. It kind of looks like it should, but Divine Ishbala will be able to at least give you a decent skull convert because it has that green into yellow, which will help feed your entire team's mana. And then you can use the other side of it from red to skull to actually poke with the high damage that the invasion troop would have. Alternatively, you can also just go all in skull damage and go a Mang build and just build a bunch of support into Mang. This build is obviously more so around the invasion troops, but you can just build completely into just a skull spam team, of course, using a Mang as your frontline tank and just using that with Titan Hero class so it doesn't die. It's applicable to almost every game mode like this, where you can just use Titan with Mang and win out the game mode just with a bunch of support troops. You can even do the Earth's Fury variant if you happen to have Earth's Fury laid around, but it also works perfectly fine with Mang. It's just Earth's Fury happens to have slightly better value in invasions, due to the fact that you can give this guy better multiplier. Basically, it gives 1.6 times the value compared to using Mang. However, Mang is still really good value. So we don't have alignment here. I'm just going to go for yellow so I can go break his barrier. And we don't have alignment, so let's do that. Hopefully we'll have alignment because he dies the second we do, and he's dead. There we go. You're still using Sifu. Oh yeah, Brambles. I forgot about that. You can also use Brambles build. Brambles boost based on elf, and you're already restricted all into elves. So you can build completely around brambles if you want. It creates green and purple. Works pretty good with almost every single elf in the game. A good majority of elves do use green or purple. The only real big downside with it is it doesn't synergize that well with Sifu, which is a troop that you're most likely going to be using, given that he has all the multiplier for the event. But aside from that, it'd work out pretty nice. We're just going to take yellow for now. I know I would give him that skull. He has high skull reduction, so I'm not going to bother poking him, because our cast will kill, but taking a skull would not have killed, which is why I did it that way. I'll just go and poke out the other one that has really high skull reduction, just so we can actually skull poke them like this. And now they just die in one shot rather than being reduced by 75%, and the other one just dies. Because this team pretty much has perpetual enchant. If I'm not mistaken, he does 2 enchants every single time he casts. Yes, he does. And this enchants our entire team when we target on yellow. And we also get to start with enchant. So we have like a billion different enchant options. Yeah, rope dart would work pretty good if you don't happen to have the Doom weapon. You can do that as a replacement. Has a nice armor tier on it too. And that into Sifu, regardless of what level range you're at, would one-shot everything. Even if you had him at a little bit of a lower multiplier, that would be one-shot range, doing rope dart into Sifu cast. Let's see, what did that? Just trying to basically bide our time so we can wait for the enchants, more so than anything. Get rid of his enchant so we don't have to deal with it, just in case he feels like getting it up. Get rid of the other one that's about to gain full mana. Get us to full mana, and then hopefully have alignment to kill. Or we don't even need it, just do that. Luckily, we're still in kill range where that can kill in one shot. We can also give him additional magic to make sure that he keeps killing in case he occasionally stops killing. Giving him 12 magic would be 60 additional damage, assuming you have the full ascension on him. What do we go for here? I'm actually going to go for the red just so we can follow up immediately. Because we can't skull poke kill him because the 75% reduction on him. So we'll just let him do that. Take our yellow. And should be good to go. Do this onto yellow, then we have pretty much every cast on our team, and all we have to do is one shot to one shot. And if we need, we have a backup Doomed Axe. You may notice we're not even really casting Doomed Axe most of these battles. It's pretty much just Tulio feeding mana to the invasion troop. That's pretty much the whole premise of this team, for the most part. This will start needing assistance once we start not one-shotting with him. But he does one-shot for quite a while, assuming you have a decently high stats. And even if you don't, or have a lower multiplier, he would still synergize with Armor Tier if you wanted to go down that route to be able to kill almost everything with Armor Tier into his ability. You always want to go for those reductions first. The other pretty annoying one is this one as far as its damage output and the enchants. Those are probably the 3 main ones you have to worry about. The red purples that enchant, the green yellows that have a really high amount of single target true damage. That's more relevant to worry about them later on though. Earlier on you don't really, they're not much of a threat. And then the brown blues. The brown blues, they're not necessarily strong, though they can be sometimes. The biggest issue with the brown blues is they have 75% score reduction, and at no point can you really one-shot skull poke them unless you have Enrage. And there really isn't any good way to give that team Enrage. Oh, I shouldn't say that. You could use Wrath. I guess you could use Wrath to try to give it Enrage. Yes, skull spam, it's a yellow. Oh wait, never mind, you can't use Wrath. I'm like thinking it's like has to be pure yellow. Never mind, you can't use Wrath. Wrath's not an elf. Ignore what I just said. But, yeah, never mind. Can't use Wrath. Actually, you can't use Divinish Ball either, duh. It's restricted to elves. It's because I'm using a yellow team, I'm like thinking, oh yeah, we have to use pure yellow, but no, we're restricted to elves. What is another cis troop that works for that, skull spam-wise? I know there's another skull spammer in here. If I type in skulls, there's 100% something that will come up. That's not it, that's not it. Where are you? Dark Priestess actually wouldn't be horrible. It gets barrier and it gets a little bit of skulls. It's very rarely applicable, but it does have its instances where it could be useful, and this is one of them. I could have sworn there was a double convert underneath elf. Was I mistaken? Apparently, because there actually is not. You would have to go a hero weapon or Dark Priestess, because I'm not seeing another option. That's unfortunate. Oh yeah, you got Yagway. That's a pretty nice damage source. He would fall off a little bit later, but if you have something to upscale him like Yasmin's Pride, it would probably be fine, if you happen to have that weapon laying around. Also, another one to consider building around is Divinia. Or not Divinia. What's her name? What is her name? Is she only Divine? Never mind, she's only Divine. I thought she was Divine Elf. Never mind. I was thinking of that one troop that converts target to yellow. But that wouldn't end up working for that. Where is Zachi? Zachi is from... Actually, good point. Where is Zachi from? Actually, completely forgot off the top of my head. Isn't Zachi from the kingdom that's today? Yeah, Zachi is from Stonesong Eyrie. It's the one for the faction today. It's the legend from Stonesong Eyrie. It's off of this portal, off of a, what's that? A 2.52% chance, or 2.52% chance to end up getting her per portal that you end up opening over in Stonesong Eyrie. Okay, let's go get this orb. Hopefully it's a blue, or purple, or useless. Okay, so that's that. Next order of business. Let's go and clear out dailies real quick. And then we'll probably go and start messing with Stonesong Eyrie. I might even initially do it with Barbarian, just so we can go get 2 things done at once. Getting Barbarian leveled, as well as getting the event done. So we'll just use our Explorer team here. Get our free Barbarian XP real quick. Hey, did I just start playing Gems of War yesterday? Its problem is I forget a lot of names. And Zachi is a troop I don't normally use. It's really meta, like into early game, mid game, possibly even late game. Is because it's a great Infernus alternative if you don't have Infernus. It's also really good for mana accumulation while doing a lot of damage. Like, it's a really good overall damage source. But the problem is there are options that are way better than it once you have everything in the game. So it's not something I normally use, so I tend to forget about her name. I can't even think of like a single other name from that kingdom. I think it's Harpy, Harpy Mage, Zachi, and what was the 4th one? Like some kind of Harpy assassin, I forget her name. I always forget names though. As I say that, I could probably say that entire team. It was Apothecary, Blast Cannon. I forgot what was in 3rd. And actually, I forget what's in 4th already. Such a short-term memory. But yeah, it's Spirit Fox, Druid, and Red something? Scarlet? No, Scarlet. Yeah, Scarlet. I was almost going to call her like Red Riding Hood. That's what she's based off of, obviously. That's like the whole premise of that kingdom, last I remember. Oh yeah, Bloodwing was the one of the assassin. What medals did you use for Owain? Epics. I would not advise using Legend for it. You just use Epic, then Double Epic, then Triple Epic. I think I've only upgraded 2 Epic troops so far. It was Gargoyle and Rowan, of course. Oh, what medals do I use in a Rowan team? It would be Medal of Guard. As far as what you upgraded her with, you do Arachnia in 1, 2, 3. But to use her in a battle, as far as the medal setup, you use her with a 24 armor bonus. Oh, Blade Wing, not Bloodwing. Same difference. Also, hello, Clarence. Welcome. Hello, Drock Savage. Hello, Integral. Let's see. Yeah, Diviner was the one I'm thinking of. She's only Divine, though. I thought she was Divine Elf. The last I recall, she's actually only Divine. That or Divine Mystic. One or the other. That or Divine Human. Forgetting specifics. That's the only issue with this game, constantly getting more and more and more and more troops. There is just becoming so many. There's, what, over 800 now. Well, I remember quite a few things about them. Whatever ones are less meta, I tend to always forget aspects of them. Hello, loading screen. You want to go? There we go. We're in. And then the final battle out of these, go do dungeons. Probably have this thing already leveled halfway. And then go get the rest through faction. Then we'll have level 70 Barbarian, and then we'll finish out faction. And it'll be good to go. Also, we have a lot of Chaos Shards right now. Mostly because we've been doing so many pure factions lately. I believe I'm currently over 20,000 shards. Or we're going to be over like 23,000 after we go do over things. Also, we should probably go do this pet. I already have all the copies, but we need the pet food, of course. I've been kind of slacking on pet food lately, so we'll need to go do that real quick. What I'm looking for, let's just go use the instant kill. I do need to go switch to magic if I'm going to do this, though. Where is she? Do that. Let me go get magic. Where to go? Magic, 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 games. Also, what's the total number of troops in the game again? It is exactly... Oh, never mind. We're not over 800 yet. After this Friday, we'll be over 800. Well, if you count weapons, we're almost over 1,000 already. But, yeah, there's 798 troops. As of Friday, we will have 802. So we'll finally break the 100 threshold as of Friday. So that'll be cool. Anyways, we set our magic. Let's go clear these out real quick. One-shotting them each time very quickly. Oh, Divine Elf was right. Never mind. Yeah, so you can use her as your main yellow accumulator then. That would work out perfectly if you didn't have another option for it. And a lot of things use yellow underneath elves. It's not as popular as green and purple, but there's still a lot of overlap on it. What do we take here? Oh yeah, that makes sense. That's why I thought she was elf, because her second trait is immune to all the elf-related things. But I just remembered that. I would have remembered instantly that she's an elf, because only elves have those traits. There's a set of traits of 3 different elves in the game. That was actually mentioned in Puzzle Quest 1, which is kind of funny, because it wasn't added until a little bit later into Gems of War. But there's a few different set of elves. One is mostly in Farce of Thorns, one is mostly in Zolkiri, and another one I believe is mostly in Shantang, which is of course is Diviner. But they all have a specific unique immunity that has like immune to mana drain, immune to mana burn, and normally like 1 or 2 additional immunities on top of that. And she's one of them. But anyways, cleared that out already. Let's go clear out the pet. Probably just use Key Team. Yeah, we'll set as Barbarian, keep it as Barbarian. How's our Barbarian class doing? Still need a little bit of XP, but we'll get another 16 from this. And then we'll finish it out off of the Stonesong Eyrie. Be good to go. Is there an Explorer Kingdom that has a high attack versus armor plus HP? Wait, what? Has a high attack versus armor and HP. I'm not sure what you mean by the second part of that. But if you're referring to high attack, I believe Zolkiri has one of the higher attacks. However, it does have a few troops that have lower, which kind of messes it all up. Groshnok does, but it has that really annoying 100% summon troop that you would never bother fighting against. But last I recall, I believe Zolkiri overall has the highest attack. If that's what you're asking. Because a lot of the elves there have low durability in exchange for high attack. However, there are a few that are already inverse, like Giant Spider, which has really high durability relative to its attack. Oh, what do we grab here? Though do keep in mind, it makes a relatively small difference when you're upscaling. Like if you're doing Explore 12, the amount of difference that Slight Attack will have is very, very minuscule. Because the higher their stats go, the less difference there really is between their stats. And the more that like, everything looks the same. Like right here, we can see there's about like almost a 25% difference between their attack. But by the time we get to something like Explore or to do like the 8th pet battle, we're going to see a very, very small difference between, percent-wise, between their attack values. And it generally will stay about the same amount of gap. So right there we saw was about a 7 gap. By the final battles, it's probably going to be around a 10-ish gap or so. But its percent of difference is a lot lower. And that's mostly because stats tend to go up pretty much evenly between most things whenever they get additional stats. Particularly when you're talking about player-owned troops. Player-owned troops have it even more static. Because, of course, the main amount of additional stats you get is not from a percent increase of the stats you already have, but more so by a static amount of increased stats. Like things through Underworld factions as well as just Kingdom upgrades, which just end up giving you a static amount of stats, whereas a little bit different when you fight up against enemies, because the enemies are more percent-based. But as you can see, the gap between these attacks are still pretty much always the same, regardless of if you can increase their stats. So trying to find something that has higher attack has very little effect on most instances. Just because the higher stats go, the less of a difference there is between every troop stat lines. They all pretty much look exactly the same at a certain point. Like right here, the third slot should have the highest attack. And it's only about like what, 8, 9 higher. Let's see. What do we even want here? Everything looks horrible. We'll just take that, I guess. Not a single good move on that board. Does Horde quality apply to Faction Assault? Yes. Oh, you're talking about the Tuesday events? Yes. Your Horde level applies to the Tuesday event. So if you have level 100 Stonesong Eyrie, whatever stats you have for that will increase your Tuesday event when you do all those delves. Any team suggestions for faction? You have Champion of Anu, Quillen, Glaceon, and Forest Guardian. Well, you're restricted to brown and yellow, so you could build completely around Glaceon then, if you want to, and build like a brown skull spam team. Probably one of your better bets based on what you mentioned. Yeah, Mountain Crusher into a good brown troop is always a pretty good synergy. Brown is such a powerful color. Probably the strongest color in the game right now. And it has been for quite some time. I'll take that for now. Obviously, we'll just let him poke us because it doesn't matter if we take damage. As long as we go get this back up, get our full mana, and we're pretty much be good to go. Throw this down again. And now we can just go throw key to key. Actually, we're going to need triple key. So we get a random skull. Actually, even if we get a random skull, still going to need triple key. However, random skull would allowed us to extra turn, whereas now... Oh, never mind. It was still enough damage. And now we'll just need a single poke, and that counts as a single poke. There's our 20 gems for today. Final battle. Arnifix can be a little bit annoying on this battle. Not in a necessarily losing way, though you could lose to it. Mostly because it is such a gigantic armor buff. Also, you can see there's only a 1 attack difference on this team. That is such a small difference to what we were mentioning earlier. But yeah, once stats get higher, they have almost like no difference between each other. Just because of how they increase. And that's applicable almost everywhere. Including high-level Explorer. Which is what the question was initially asked on. But yeah, we'll see what we use. I mentioned one on Monday. We'll copy-paste it and see if we make any tweaks to it. I kind of wanted to try using Quentin again, which is why I ended up building the team I did earlier. But we'll see what we use. Oh wow, 4 copies of that. Why can't we get 4 copies of one we don't have maxed? Of course we get 4 copies of the one that doesn't matter on, because all that is basically becomes is yellow pet food, or red pet food, whatever color he uses. But anyways, I believe it's red. I want to know what color does he use. He uses yellow. Oh yeah, I was right the first time. It is yellow. I guess because it's Adana. I guess Adana is yellow and red based. But anyways, kind of seemed like fire because of his mouth thing. Where's the team? I am looking for, not class event. I'm looking for, yeah, the low level one. Oh yeah, I was going to use the guard's avatar like Rowan. I think I might still do this just because it's funny. It hasn't been possible until last week to do something like this. So I might as well go use this actually. It's not as good as Rowan, but it still serves a similar purpose. So let's go to faction. Let's go to fight. Let's go to fight. Paste in our team. That was what we used for pure faction, or not pure faction, to get to 500. We end up using Mountain Crusher, High King Iron Gut, Divinia, and Queen Aurora. Not the greatest of teams, but you don't have as many options when going through this. This faction was also added several months ago, prior to having some other options that exist today, of course. But anyways, we'll run with this, +2 brown, +1 yellow. I am going to change class to Alpha Titan, though. Titan is better, however, I want free Barbarian XP, so we get to level 70. And we'll keep using Barbarian until we get it to 70 at this point, because we should be pretty close. Yeah, we only need 2 per battle. What does that come out to then? We need 32, so that's 16. We need 16 battles. So after 2 factions, we will have a level 70 Barbarian. Sounds like a game plan. Let's go do that. Okay, so I don't think I need to change anything else. And let's go see what this could do. We might change it for the later battles. But the whole premise of this team is to, of course, use Quentin into a Guard's Avatar. Guard's Avatar troop that's been rather underwhelming for quite a while. He was meta at one point, not really so much in the current state of the game. However, he kind of functions somewhat similarly to Rowan because we can half mana start him. And with that half mana start, we can go and basically just go and quick kill with the same kind of boost ratio that Rowan has off of a really high armor value. It's not as good as Rowan, oddly enough, even though it's a mythic, compared to the fact that the other one's an epic. But it still gets the job done. Only real big issue we'll have to worry about is Submerge. Hopefully we don't find too many Submerges, but we do have some backup skull spam if we need against it. So as more Harpy Mage teams tend to go, you tend to rush Harpy Mage, and then just kind of go from there. And then we kill. And then just rinse and repeat. That's pretty much the premise of this thing. Get one gigantic big cast, win. And with his half mana start, he gets mana at a relatively quick pace relative to what he would have in the past. He could, of course, been buffed with Divine Ishbala in the past. However, ever since it was 40% buff, it's been a lot less enticing to do so. But now it's back to 50%. It's a little bit more viable again. Also allows us to have a skull spam backup if we need. We block it pretty hard, but one nice thing about Mountain Crusher is it does feed mana directly to those kind of things by giving 2 mana to all brown allies in case we need it in a pinch. As you can see, somewhat similar to how Rowan functions. It's basically the whole premise of this team. It's like an alternative Rowan team, essentially. A lot more expensive than a Rowan team, though. And Guard's Avatar tends to not really be crafted that much. However, it is required to get White Helm to 10 stars because White Helm does not have a second mythic yet. It will eventually, soon TM. But as it currently stands, it just has that as its only mythic. Can I kill a Skull Spam right now? What's your other convert again? Purple to yellow. No, I cannot. So let's go Explode. Get all your mana up and dead. Let's see. Did Purification 100 with 2 times Zachi? That would work too. Took forever with all the summoning troops. Oh yeah, you do have to be careful with that. There is a lot of summoning in this faction. Has won the highest amount of summonings. Actually might have literally the highest amount of summonings. Might not be as annoying as that one Transform Kingdom, but it's still pretty high up there as far as annoying if you don't kill them out quickly enough. You assume this is the case if you destroy the gems on the board. Is the mana given efficiently? If green purple is above green red, and all the purple will count towards the the way that mana accumulation works is it actually has been the way since the game started and has actually never been changed. But the way that mana accumulation works is this order right here. You may notice that this might seem like a rather random order, the fact that all the trait stones are always in blue, green, red, yellow, purple, brown order. Even if we go over to trait stones over here, you'll see that they're in the exact same order. Blue, green, red, yellow, purple, brown. This isn't a completely random order. This is actually the priority order in which you accumulate mana, oddly enough. This is very rarely applicable. However, when you're using multiple troops that share the same color like that, the way that they accumulate mana is blue first, then green, then red, then yellow, then purple, then brown. So brown is one of the reasons why brown is actually so strong. It has the lowest priority. And this is actually really good because this makes it so you accumulate all the other needed mana first. And then if you're using a pure brown team, it would benefit the most because brown would have the lowest amount of priority. So in the instance that you just mentioned, the purple would be accumulated first onto, or the green, since green has higher priority, it would end up sucking away some of the mana. So if you were to try to fill up a green purple, you could end up wasting some of the green that should have gone into your green red by the green being accumulated prior to the purple. So if you had like a green purple on your team, a green red, and another green purple, you would end up sucking away some of the purple that should have gone to your purple troop that's below your green purple, and it will instead go to your green red troop when it ends up filling in. But it always goes in order. All mana accumulation always goes in order of this if you take it simultaneously. Only if you take it simultaneously. And the only times that will really happen is if you do like a multi-spam color onto the board, if you happen to swipe 2 things simultaneously into each other, or of course if you do a mass destroy or a mass explosion. It's very rarely applicable, but that is how it works. It's mostly applicable to pure color teams more so than anything as far as how mana gets accumulated. But it's only really particular if you're using multiple of the same colors, just to know where the extra mana would leak. Because you'll need to know if you're taking, like, let's say a green-purple, you need to know, are you going to get the green to leak, or are you going to get the purple to leak? And in those instances, you're actually going to get the purple to leak, because the purple has lower priority than the green. So if you're expecting it to go to your other green troop below it, like if you had a green-purple first slot, green-red second, and green-purple third, and you take green and purple, you will end up getting excess purple mana. You will not get excess green mana, because the green gets used first and then the purple gets used. What do we grab here? However, that is only applicable if you are leaking into something. If you are just going to go and fill, like, let's say you only have one green purple and you're accumulating both green and purple on a pure green team, it does accumulate the purple correctly first, but only when it's leaking does it go based on that priority order. Because the game obviously tries not to waste your mana, but eventually you have excess mana, and it goes based on that order for that excess mana. Because a video I should probably cover soon. It's like the 3rd time on stream we've went over in like a week. It's a mechanic probably most people don't know about, but it's been that way since day 1 of the game. It's never changed. I feel like I make it more confusing sometimes when I explain it, but it's pretty straightforward. It's also one of the reasons why brown is so strong, because you actually, if you're using a pure color team, you actually want the color of your pure color to be really low priority, and brown has the lowest priority. Of course, brown would still be strong even if that wasn't the case. That's one thing that makes it even stronger. Guild question. Completing statue 200 stops you getting gems, keys from it? What do you mean? You still get gems and keys from it. You don't stop getting anything from it. Like, you stop getting XP, so you don't get mastery anymore. And there's no additional bonuses beyond 100, other than the 100 extra mastery that you get from 101 to 200. But, you don't stop getting any resources from getting a 200 statue for your guild. The only thing that stops is the additional mastery that you keep getting. Which, by the time you even get it to 200, you probably already have enough masteries that you're already getting such a diminishing return that they barely do anything anyways. Well, 1 down. And by the end of the next one, we should have a maxed out Barbarian. And then I'll switch out a Barbarian class to something that will actually help us. Because Barbarian is making his team work slower. Because it doesn't have half mana start. Which would be very beneficial, because that would be full mana right there, and then we just go cast Mountain Crusher, but we can't, since we don't have full mana. As that reminds me, I still didn't get enchant. I should need to go do that. I was wondering why our mana feels a little bit lower than normal. I didn't bother getting the enchant. I should probably get that. Let's see. It's only 30 gems. Where to go? Grab that. Plus, we might need the battle anyways. Quite more often than not, you need the battle. Regardless, so you might as well just get it immediately. That'll help us some. It almost gives her full mana immediately, too. Too bad it's not full mana. It's really close. It's 2 off of full mana. So it gives her guaranteed full mana on 2nd turn. So regardless of what we take here, she now has full mana. I was wondering why we weren't getting mana as quick, other than the fact that we're not starting with half mana hero. That was the other big reason why we weren't. I forgot to go get enchants. But yeah, that's one of the really nice things about Harpy in factions. I don't use her too often for it unless there's no other option, because you could just use an Empower, like Leprechaun or something. However, she does gain basically a 2nd turn in power if you have enchant, because you'll get a 75% chance the 1st turn, which brings her to 10. Then she gets the enchant immediately for the 1st turn, which brings her to 12 on turn 1. And then on turn 2, she has 14. Let's see, we'll go for that. And dead. Luckily, no summons. He has a 25% and a 50%. Luckily, he triggered neither. He triggered both the first time around. So he was nice to us this time. Should you craft a 2nd Ketris versus waiting for Aurora, given that you will, of Nisha, is Silverglade as well? Oh yeah, good point. If you feel like you're going to use double Ketris, double Ketris is mostly, or I feel like I mostly use it for Tower of Doom, personally. It's really decent at, like, mid-level range, especially if you have Yasmin's Pride. It's really good at fighting things that that can die within, like, a few casts. Like, ideally what you want to do is cast on 2nd slot, cast on 4th slot, that wiped out 3 troops, and then you just kill the 1st slot with a single skull. Like, any situation where you can get that combo within a timely manner, he tends to be good for. Having 2 of them. particularly areas where you have potion effects, because since he's fully blocked anyways, you could end up getting his mana up through enchant. Since you might not be using Mountain Crusher with him. If you're using him in more of a PvP situation, you do. But if you're using him more in like a Tower of Doom or Invasion sense, the later you go, the quicker you would end up exchanging it for Yasmin's Pride instead of Mountain Crusher. Would you use this team to go to 500? Would you use Hero with 3 times Gargoyle? If I was to use this team that I'm using right now to get to 500, we would end up running it with Yasmin's Pride. I mean, not Yasmin's Pride. Or Skia's Shield, I mean. I would not really advise doing this up to 500. Mainly because the way that it distributes damage is rather clunky. And if you're depending on this as your only damage source, it's probably not a good idea when you're fighting higher stats. Even Rowan can sometimes struggle in that if it's your only damage source. If you had no other options, it would be okay. I wouldn't really advise it, though. And there we go, Barbarian level 70. Yeah, I feel like this team would fall off by about 200 or so. Using it in the exact way we are, it would fall off by about 100. Maybe a little bit earlier, depending on what your stats are. But even if you're using something like Skia's Shield, I feel like it would stop being viable by about 200 or so. Once you need more than one Skia's Shield cast, it's probably not worth using anymore. Right now, obviously, we don't need any Skia's Shield casts. And for that duration, it's pretty good value, because it just wipes the entire enemy team in one shot. I believe in like 2 more delves, we won't be able to do that, 2 or 3 more. Because its damage output right now is only at 134 only. That's still pretty solid. But of course that won't one-shot forever. 134 full AoE. We're already at the point where we need to do 70 to 80 damage to things. We're only on 30 right now. Oh, another one down. Okay, let me go change out a Barbarian now. Now that we finally got this thing maxed. Because you don't need level 100 on it. And from this, we get the Enrage. Or Explosion. But if you're bothering to use this class, you're probably using it with Enrage. Given that he's more skull-oriented. But there we go. We finally have a maxed out, technically, Barbarian. So now we can go cover a video on it soon. Hopefully tomorrow. If I have the time. Because that's the strongest you'll ever get. Because his final perk you would never use. You would never use him with Tauruses because you just use Shaman instead. You would never... you would never use him with War Gear because the effect isn't really good and it has no synergy with him. And you might use the Elemental bonus. However, I can't really think of any real setup at the moment that would really use it too much. But if you were to go one of these 3, it'd probably be the Elemental one. But it'd be so situational that's not worth going out of your way for. Unless you've maxed out nearly every other class in the game. But as overall still a really bad hero class. That hasn't changed. But anyways, let's go change to Titan so we get Brownstorm as well as Explosions. As well as tankiness. Not like we're probably not even gonna need a tankiness, but just to have it. Anything else we need? No, it doesn't count as elemental. Doesn't one of these give armor to brown allies or something? Yes, there we go. 3 armor to brown allies. That gives us like 1 or 2 additional AoE damage on him. Obviously that's not a lot, but hey, every little bit counts. That's quite convenient. Yeah, that gives him 3 additional armor. Which will only give him 1 additional damage, but oh well, 1 is still more than 0. Anyways. We're mostly using it for the Brownstorm, of course. Brownstorm and the Explosion. And the half mana start on Hero. All 3 of those factors are the main ones. Which will allow us to kill much quicker than we previously were. Unfortunately, don't get class XP anymore. Although we'll go a bit quicker. Let's see. You don't know if you went over it yet, but any thoughts about Salty's stream yesterday? I actually ended up falling asleep. I think like 10 minutes in. Because I was like putting my head down to like nap while I was listening to it. And I ended up just napping. I think I woke up at like 2 a.m. or something. But I slept for like 5 hours. I was just gonna like rest my head for a moment, but I fell asleep. Which was a fail. But no, what did she go over? Because I didn't bother checking what I missed. I assume she wasn't really going over much other than the faction. And we already know there isn't really much interesting about the next faction. Salty ASMR. Let's see, we'll go get the kill. She did run the delve, and then as she was telling us, can't say much more about the next patch. Her stream cut out. Yeah, they probably won't have info on it for a while because nothing's really officialized with it yet. Like, they know thematically what's going to be doing, but they still need to beta test it and other things. Beta test's not even out yet. They haven't even gotten a new recruits for the beta test yet. So they still got a ways to go. At this point, it's looking like mid-April for next patch. I'm not sure why I'm checking every single room. Makes such a little bit of multiplier difference. Oh no, I did see her talk about Stripe. I do remember that. But then I probably fell asleep like 5 minutes later. But I am more of a cat person than a dog person. That is correct. I feel like all my friends have dogs. Though it is a bit more of a guy thing to have dogs than cats. What do we take there? We'll grab that. And then dead. Invasion will likely take the place of weekend class events. Interesting. I do wish they would kind of revamp that some. It's something that they did like a lot back to back to back, and then they never really tweaked it since. Like, first we went from having guild wars every single week. Then we went from having like raids and evasions taking up a third of that time, or it alternates between the three. And then not even like a few months later, not even like barely any time, they added a whole nother event of Tower of Doom. Actually, I think that was a little bit later. It might have been like 4 or 5 months, but still, within like half a year, they went from guild wars every single week to a completely different system, and then they never tweaked it since, even though there was a request for them to do so. So it'll be interesting to see if they do make additional tweaks. How weekly events go. Is Salty the main person behind the game? No, she's just a community manager. The biggest person behind the game is Surian. Steve Fonker, I believe, is his name. He has a really weird last name that I believe is mostly Australia-based. But it's like Fawkner, I believe? Something like that. But he's the lead developer of the game. He also did all the Puzzle Quest games. I also believe that, what's her name, has the second most amount of influence? What's her name? Nimhane, if I'm not mistaken. I forget what her exact role is actually called. I believe she has the second highest amount of influence. I would probably say Salty is the third most, though. That's kind of hard to tell. That's mostly because she's community manager. And out of anyone on the entire dev team, she obviously communicates with the community most. So the devs, if they were to go and get feedback in that regard, they'd probably ask Salty. Is there a decent team for high levels in this delve? Iron Gut. Basically any Iron Gut center team. I was doing it with Divinia and like a Divinia build with it, which isn't as advised, but I don't think there was as many other good options at the moment. For example, you could just use used Queen Zachi, which didn't exist at the time. Oh, yes, it would have. Duh. It's literally came through the faction. Never mind. Why did I not use Queen Zachi then? I guess it didn't come to mind. But yeah, Queen Zachi would have been better than Divinia. Maybe I felt like I need the HP or something. But, yeah, using something like Mountain Crusher, Queen Zachi, Iron Guts, and then a Curse option in the last slot is all you'd really need. And then you'd be good to go. The Curse option I know for sure didn't exist at the time. The best Curse option for that team would be, oh gosh, I forgot his name already. The, that one, brown, green, blue, that has Curse every brown. Vashtagan. I'm not sure if you have him, but he'd be the best Curse for that team. I believe there is another Curse option, though, that would be usable. That's cheaper. I don't recall exactly which one it would be, though. Because I believe Curse Effigy can't. Mirage Queen can't. I know there's something else, though. But if I was to use, I would end up using Vashtagan for it. Vashtagon's a relatively underwhelming mythic, but he does have one of the better curse options in the game. He has the best passive curse in the game because he can curse on Brown, and obviously Brown teams are pretty strong. It's like his biggest redeeming quality. Almost everything else about him is relatively bad. In many instances, Black Beast is actually stronger than him because they never fixed his ability, even though it was brought up to them. And he still has a pretty much broken ability. Oh, Faulkner is pronounced Faulkner? Oh, okay. I've been pronouncing it wrong forever. Though what words do I not pronounce wrong? Loading, loading, loading. There we go. So Mountain Crusher, Zachi, Iron Gut, and Dagon. Not Zachi. You would use a Harpy Mage. Did I say Zachi? I meant to say Harpy Mage. And the reason for Harpy Mage is you use it as a second mana accumulation method. Kind of like what we're doing now. Mountain Crusher Zachi is a really strong combo because all you have to do is just cast Zachi on turn 2. And then just keep cycling back and forth. And you pretty much always have Perpetual Brownstorm, as well as being able to loop mana back and forth between them to feed whatever else you're doing that's important. In that case, Iron Gut. It's one of the better mana combos in the game. I do prefer the Leprechaun variant, just because it gets first turn in power, rather than having to wait a few turns. But it's still pretty strong nonetheless. You tend to only use this combo if you're color restricted out of using, if you're color restricted out of using Leprechaun. What do I even grab here? Do we have alignment on this? No. No, I'm just gonna take a skull, and then we kill off the AoE. Then. Surprised we're still getting one shots. So far as yet to not one shot. As I say that, we're probably not one shot this battle. But it went through almost the entire event with one shot. So we might need to use this more often then. Now that we can half mana start Guard's Avatar. This actually isn't going that bad. Let's see, how much durability do they have? Oh, there we go. As I said it, yep. The second I say that, we finally get a not one shot. But still, pretty solid. They won pretty much all the way to the end of 50, one-shotting everything. And I'll still be able to one-shot most of these other battles. The last battle, of course, has slightly higher stats, so it didn't. But, still seems pretty solid. Yeah, I need to go check that then if she mentioned something on the new invasion system. Invasion always was one of the better ones for loot as well. So kind of interesting that they're moving it like that. I guess they might be doing that just to kind of make it so events basically get completed within their time frame. Because the biggest issue with things like invasions and raids, I think they're only doing it to invasions, but the biggest issue with both of them is in the current state of the game, unlike something like Guild Wars you do every single day. Something like raids or invasions, most guilds, well I shouldn't say most guilds, but quite a few guilds out there can get it done within like 3 or 4 days. And then you have the weekend where you do like nothing with it. Like normally what you do with them is you get them done in the first few days, and then once Friday comes around, you just go do whatever the new Friday event is and focus on that. But if they made it so it was only the weekend, that would actually work out pretty well. Because if you only have 3 days to do it, that's about how long it generally takes anyways. So interesting to see how that pans out. Oh, what do we even want here? Ideally something I'll feed into you, so we'll do that. Even though we don't need the mana for you, we do need the mana to leak into you, and then you're dead. Even with 10% stats, that's not going to be enough to keep you alive there. I also, once we complete out this delve, we should go hand out a code. I still haven't yet this stream. Which does remind me, since I did fall asleep last night, I wasn't able to ask Salty for more codes at the end of her stream. So I still need to go do that. She'll definitely have it by the end of Wednesday's stream, most likely. I shouldn't say definitely. It could still not happen. But I definitely need to remind her tomorrow night about it. 100%. 115, 115. 115. 1:15. My sleep schedule was really off the other day, though, which is why I fell asleep like that. It's like kind of crashed afterwards. Mostly because I recorded the event video so early that I kind of threw off my sleep schedule. Because I was done recording it by like 5 or 6 a.m. or something. I forget the exact time, but it was pretty early. And I was, of course, making up teams and everything prior to that. We don't have alignment, do we? Yes, we did. Never mind, right there. Hello, Bernice. So, on those weekends, there could be 2 guild events going on simultaneously. It seems like that might be the case. However, it seems like it's going to be more like what a bounty hunter is, essentially. Like how a bounty hunter can still occur during one of those weeks. It seems like they're basically going to make Invasion into a weaker version of bounty hunter, essentially. I hope that means they'll add the towers as troops. That'd be really cool. I've been wanting those 6 towers as troops. Or wait, is it 6 or is there more than 6? I believe there's 6. Well, technically there's more than 6 if you count all the holiday ones. But it would be pretty cool if they start bringing all the towers into the game. They would not be overpowered if they were player-owned troops. They might be a little bit strong in some compositions just because they have Indestructible, assuming they keep Indestructible on them like they did with the Dooms. But, I don't know, it'd be interesting if they ever added them, especially if they kept the Indestructible rather than doing what they did with Zugoff and changed it to Impervious. Also, I'm really curious if they're ever going to buff Zugoff, the player-owned Zugoff, by giving him Indestructible. That'd be a really nice change to him. I'm not sure if they're going to do that, though, because he's already pretty decent. Not like the biggest meta in the game, but he's pretty high up there. Also, that's why you're not dying. You have 25% spell reduction, don't you, Zachi? I was wondering why I was taking so much less damage than everything else. That's because she has spell reduction. We're pretty sure she does. There's no other real explanation as to why she'd be surviving. Oh yeah, that would be a little bit broken, though. I forgot about that one, yeah. Indestructible 75% score reduction. That would be a little strong with skull spam teams. That one would be a little hard to deal with. Yeah, maybe they wouldn't actually do it with Indestructible. I forgot about that one. If it wasn't for that one, they would probably do it. But yeah, that would be pretty broken. A 75% score reduction with Indestructible that's player owned. Its ability is horrible, but you wouldn't use it for its ability, you'd use it for its traits. Now that would be a frontline tank that would block your mana that would actually be good. Unlike things like Stonehammer or what's the other guy's name? The Champion of Guard? Or whatever that one is that holds the big shield. That green, red, yellow from Sword's Edge. The Champion of a Guard, I believe is his name. Big Champion of Anu, I believe is the other one. And the Guard is the one I'm referring to. Okay, we'll go for that. I should full mana him. Then they're dead. Then we poke. Yeah, there are definitely a lot of guilds that do it during the full week. I'm pretty sure about, I want to say 70 to 80% of guilds probably take the full week to do it. However, they would likely have an accelerated method for it. For example, you'd probably start with 8 sigils on day 1 rather than the normal 4, which would help speed it up quite a bit. Among other tweaks that they might make. Maybe to its pricing or something else. Because right now it uses the exact same amount as raids as far as its gem cost, or pretty much the same amount. You enjoy Invasion, so that'd kind of be bad. What are they going to replace it with during the week? We still don't know definitively yet. But we'll probably have more info on it very soon. Because they're probably adding a new game mode in 4.8 and then another one in 5.0. And that should finally make it so we get an event week every single week. And basically what it seems like they're doing is they're just making invasions into basically a bounty hunter, essentially. Not exactly like bounty hunter, but you know, the same way that bounty hunter functions. Basically once a month for a weekend. It seems like what they're doing to invasions now. Because you also have to keep in mind, they're going to be doing some kind of new class-related game mode, most likely. I'm not sure if that's actually one of the two, but it might actually be. Because you have to keep in mind, hero classes, we're going to run out of hero classes in 2 months from now. And next patch is almost guaranteed going to be addressing that. So when they mention there's a new game mode in 4.8, it might actually be a revamped class game mode? Unless they specifically mentioned otherwise, that seems like one of the more likely things that it could be. That or a new game mode and they do a rework to the class one. Possibility they do both. How much gold will you need to get the new faction to Horde quality 10? It depends on what kind of treasure you have. Though, to get to quality 10 normally takes about 1 million gold. But it can vary depending on what treasures you use. If you use the higher 3 rarities, you could probably do it for almost under 500,000. But if you use the lower 3, it could almost cost as high as 2 million. But if you use like a mix of, them, it normally goes around 1 million or so. You start with the lowest rarity ones, and you use bags up to about 20. You can use rings up to about 50. You can use chalices up to about 100. And if you wanted to save some of the gold, you would use the bigger 3 from pretty much everything beyond level 50. So another way that you could do it if you're trying to save on gold is for the first 5 or 10 levels, you can use bags. For about 10 to 30, you could use rings. From 30 to 50, you could use chalices. And from 50 onwards, you can use crowns, lamps, and sacred treasure. I personally did not advise using the higher 3 rarities for anything below 100. But if you're still in the process of leveling things up and you're still on to conserve on gold, it's definitely worth throwing them down. Because the priority order for how you should be doing all the factions is you get them to quality level 10, slowly start getting all factions to quality level 10, and then you worry about getting them to 100. And then way later in the game, you worry about getting them to 200. 200 is not really necessarily mandatory, though. But most pure factions would benefit a lot from having a 200 level. 100 is technically the furthest you ever realistically need to go on any faction, though. Because that's what gives you the full amount of bonus as far as renown and everything. Everything beyond that just helps you do pure faction. It also makes Tuesday events a little bit quicker. For example, right now, for this Tuesday event, I believe we're running a level 200 faction. So that's actually helping speed this battle up right now, because we're getting slightly higher stats than what we would normally be having if we only had it to 100. I'm pretty sure I have it at 200. Yeah, so I have it at 200. So all these benefits do apply to us right now. The 27 magic, the 54 attack, 109 life, and the 108 armor. That's a pretty hefty amount of armor. No wonder why Guard's Avatar is hitting like a truck. That's a lot of armor. But that's why that's working. But that would explain why it's going so long too. I was going to say, it should have like stopped working by now. But it's because we have level 200 faction instead of 100. That's still working. Let's see you, Kalthos. Catch you later. Thanks for stopping by. Grab that, take our manas. If anyone else has any other questions, do let me know. Wait. She said that the beta changes wouldn't take place until 4.9? Weird. Also, I'm not even sure if they're doing a 4.9 patch. They might be. But based on how things seemed like they were going, it seemed like it was going to be more like a 4.8, 4.85, and then a 5.0. I haven't ever heard them confirm at 4.9. I'm not sure if she actually did or if she was just agreeing to the comment and didn't really notice it. The last I recall, there was actually not going to be a 4.9. But there might be. Let's see, we'll go for that. Also, if we do, I believe that will be the first 0.9 patch we ever get. Because normally they do a 0.0 patch before they ever reach 9. Which would mean this would be the longest time between ever having a 0.0 patch. Maybe not actual time-wise, but as far as number of patch-wise is. It'd be the biggest amount of time between a extremely major patch. They basically have 3 sizes of patches. Really small ones, average size ones. Actually, I guess 4. We have really small ones, which are things that do almost nothing, that are like the one that we most previously had, that ended all the holiday things and did like a few other really small tweaks that are almost not noticeable. Then we have like small patches. These are things that tweak like more than nothing, but still such a minuscule amount that it feels like nothing. Then we have big patches, which are like what's coming up next patch. And then we have really big patches, which are all the 0.0 patches, which we've only had 3 of so far. 2.0, 3.0, and 4.0. 2.0 was Guild Wars, 3.0 was... Or sorry, 2.0 was traits. 3.0 was Guild Wars, and just guild-related events in general. And 4.0 was Delves. And 5.0, we don't know exactly yet, but I believe it's a whole nother area that will basically be the thing after Delves. So similar, like right now we have 2 areas, Kristara and we have Underworld. And we're probably getting a third in 5.0. Among whatever other major changes they make. Also, after these last 2 battles, we should only need about 1 more or so until we get it fully completed. But yeah, Guard's Avatar actually did pretty decent work of this faction. The half mana start and everything. It's pretty nice. I like it. It's very rarely that you would bother using this build, though. But hey, Quentin has another use, if nothing else. This isn't really something that I really mentioned much as something that you could use him for. But yeah, he can half mana start Guard's Avatar. And while that is very rarely applicable, low-level factions is one area where that kind of is useful. Because even if you only have level 100 Horde, he could probably kill up to about 50 pretty consistently. And as long as you can double cast kill, it's still pretty good. You can double cast kill at least to like 100, 110 or so. Will you be the last person playing when the servers are turned off? Taha! That's funny. They're probably going to be doing another game after. Like, if Gems of War ever stops, I'm probably just going to go to the next major game that the company makes. That and get into Nintendo stuff more. Because I've always been a big fan of Nintendo games. Speaking of that, Animal Crossing Direct this Wednesday. I'm probably going to be playing Animal Crossing a decent amount once it comes out. Seems like a pretty chill thing just to stream. For any of you that like Stardew Valley, it's not exactly Stardew Valley, but it's probably the biggest mainstream game that is similar to Stardew Valley. Harvest Moon, I would say, is closer. However, no new Harvest Moon games are really being made, which is why Stardew Valley was able to do so ridiculously good. Yeah, that's like the closest resemblance I could really think of. It's basically Stardew Valley. Kind of. Let's see, we'll take that. We'll grab Guard's Avatar. And then kill this one out. I don't know, I missed the Harvest Moon series. Back when it was in its prime. Can we please get a turn so we can destroy you? There we go. Now he's dead. 100% team faction. What you do for pure faction is this team. I actually didn't go over it yet to stream. I mentioned on the Monday video. It's this team right over here. Grab our tributes. Right over here. Where'd it go? It's this team. It is Harpy, Queen Zachi, Harpy Mage, and Queen Zachi. The Harpy Mage is for the 4 mana drain and the Brownstorm at start. This allows you to disable them when you can, as well as get the Brownstorm immediately. This is also just basically used as a frontline tank, and if it dies, you have plenty of other summons to put there. Queen Zachi has 2 35% chances, but 2 of them per extra turn. They summon a Harpy Mage in the first slot, so you're constantly going to be able to keep getting Harpy Mages there. Also, if you happen to be running with potion effects, which you would be if you were running today on Tuesday and running through the entire event with potions, she'd probably be hitting around 100 damage or so, depending on how many potions you got. Somewhere around that general ballpark. Somewhere around like 80, 90, 100, so she'll get pretty good value, especially having 2. You can just keep chipping them down by using full AoE Zachis and keep gaining mana back. And you'll automatically have a Storm in play because you get the Brown Storm off a Harpy. And even if you don't have a Brown Storm in play, every single time you cast Harpy Mage, you get Brown Storm. And she has 75% mana start. And with Enchant, you'll guarantee have full mana on her after 2 turns. So basically, you do your first turn, and then on your second turn, you have full mana on her. So she basically has a second turn in power instead of a first turn in power when you have an Enchant into her 75% mana start. So you can basically use it as a second turn Mountain Crusher, essentially, is what Harpy Mage ends up functioning as. And then she just has a slightly higher mana cost for any follow-ups. However, the fact she covers 2 colors actually makes her somewhat better than Mountain Crusher in some instances. She just has a little bit of a... Actually, I guess Mountain Crusher has the same delay. But yeah, it's pretty much like a troop-based Mountain Crusher is essentially what she is. And then Queen Zachi just does the most of your damage. And you just keep getting summons of more Harpy Mages. And you might eventually get some Blade Wings in there. And then Blade Wings also have a chance of resummoning Harpies. There's a lot of resummoning that can happen, especially if your stats are a bit lower for the final battle. Final battle can be a little bit annoying on pure factions because you're fighting something that has higher stats than you. And obviously this kingdom has a billion different ways to summon. Every single one of the 4 troops have a % chance to summon. It can definitely troll you sometimes, so it may take several attempts of getting lucky. Also, another way that you can kind of get lucky is if you do happen to get some Blade Wings in there. Blade Wing, I believe, has 20%, 25% or chance or so to instant kill. You don't actually use it on your starting team because it's not that good. But if you happen to just randomly get it, it's not bad to have because it covers some additional mana and you can just poke with extra turn attempts. Or not extra turn attempts, but with instant kill attempts and try killing it out that way. Also, if you have really low stats, one way that you can also try running through the Delve is run it somewhat similar to how you would kind of go through Crypt and basically just run a bunch of instant kill and just hope you get lucky. I would only advise that if you are not running with potions, though. If you're running with potions, you'd get much better value out of Queen Zachi. And if you're doing that on a Tuesday event, you would be. However, if you're doing it outside of a Tuesday event, then it's something to consider. However, if you already have the potion effects active, you might as well do it today. But yeah, any other questions, anyone? Otherwise, I'll probably be wrapping up for now. If anyone else doesn't have anything else to mention, so do let me know. Otherwise, we'll be back tomorrow, same time as always, 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Hour and a half prior to now tomorrow. Actually, more like hour and 10 minutes. But yeah, I'll mostly be messing around with the pets. We're getting lucky. It's a repeat pet, but it's one of the better pets in the game. It's not showing up here because we already have a pet, but it's that one little cat kid, the cat thing. Oh, I never did do code, did I? Hold up. I meant to do that after we finished that one faction, and then I never did because I got distracted. Hold up, hold up. Also, I need to go get more codes from Salty this Wednesday because we only have enough till like a few more days. Oops, why am I typing that there? Wrong section. Also, that's also wrong section. Where'd it go? Where's the code section? There it is. Put that there. Put that there. Does that one work? No. Oh no, we used up more codes than I thought. How many codes do we have left? I need to go count out how many more days we have left. Salty, I need more codes. Let's see. Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday. I have enough till Saturday. Unless I give out only one on Friday and Saturday, in which case I'll have enough till Monday. Which, if we don't get more codes from Salty on Wednesday, I might have to do that. So, Salty, give us more codes. I'll definitely need to remind her by the end of her Puzzle Quest stream tomorrow. Remind me to remind her. No, I should remember. But, yeah, after next stream, I need to go catch her Puzzle Quest stream. And then remind her at, like, the beginning and end of her stream to go give me more codes. Because we only have enough till Saturday if we give out 2 on Friday and Saturday, 1 per stream. And we only have enough till Monday if we give out 1 on both of those 2 days. But anyways, anyone else with any other questions? Let me go back to chat. Oh yeah, never mind. I didn't even give out the code. I just used it for myself. I didn't even copy paste it. Fail. 1 second. Copy. Is that the right one? Should be. Yes, that should be the right one. That's the one we just used. Go check the code. I know, not my night. I'm all over the place today. My sleep schedule kind of got thrown off a little bit earlier. Especially when I just like randomly fell asleep last night when I didn't mean to. Which put my sleep schedule even more off because I didn't actually mean to sleep then. Let's see. Yeah, I'll ask Salty tonight, but normally she doesn't get to the forum post. But I will be asking her tonight and then reminding her tomorrow. Yeah, any other questions, anyone? Anything else I missed? Otherwise, as I mentioned, we'll be back tomorrow. Same time as always, 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, hour prior to now tomorrow. Feel free to leave a like on the stream. Definitely helps out a lot. And hopefully if I have time tomorrow, we should be going over Barbarian hero class. Obviously not too much to go over. It's a relatively useless hero class. However, it's somewhat unique enough that we can kind of mess around with it a bit. since it can be used in a red spam team to gain a decent amount of attack. It's not anywhere near as good as what it previously was, but it's okay. What does the code give us? It's, oh yeah, it gives 2 treasure maps, 1 gem key, 200 souls, and 2,500 gold. Same loot as always. Not excessively high amount of loot, but adds up over time. We give one out every single stream. The biggest value in it, of course, is the 1 gem key. That's where pretty much the entire value of the code tends to come from, because that's worth about 9 gems. Let's see. But yeah, it always gives the same thing. Let's give out one of the special codes. You got Champion of Anu from the key. Nice. I actually got Champion of Anu last week off of event keys. We were trying to get Quentin. We ended up doing that on Monday. Got pretty lucky. I didn't need another copy of it, but still nice because, you know, never know when there might be a team that uses the double bonus like that, because it does give a bunch of extra stats to all allies per turn, and it does stack if you use 2 of them. It's not worth using 2 of them. Actually, there currently isn't any value in using 2 of any of them. We're going to be getting the purple version of it this Friday. Or sorry, not this Friday. The first Friday of next month will be a purple version of it. But it doesn't seem like it's going to be that viable. However, they did buff it since then, so maybe they'll do another little tweak that will buff it. And hopefully it'll be viable. I really want it to be the AoE Yagwe, but I'm not sure if they're going to make it like that because it currently has no board control. So we'll see what happens with it. What class and banner are you running here? For what team? The one that I was running with earlier, I was running with +2 brown, +1 yellow, -1 purple. It's the exact same banner of Stonesong Eyrie, oddly enough. We're using Stonesong Eyrie banner to do Stonesong Eyrie faction, which is kind of funny, but it ended up working out that way. Mostly because most of the banners for whatever faction you're doing is already restricted to the 2 main colors that you're using anyways. So in many instances, you actually do end up just using the faction's banner to do the faction. You don't have to, obviously, nor does pure faction have to be done that way. But it does tend to go that way just because more often than not, that banner just happens to work the best due to the fact that the coloration is already going to be giving you the better manas you need. But anyways, guys, thank you so much for stopping by. I hope you all have a wonderful night, wonderful rest of your week, and we'll be back soon. Mess with getting that pet, mess with Barbarian, see what we can end up doing with that, and go from there. So I'll catch you guys later. Good night, and thank you so much for watching. Goodbye, everyone.